Welcome back to Let's Not Sugarcoat It. Season 3 is here and we're excited to dive into the core of communication, relationships, and leadership.
We're your hosts, Bella and Lee, a husband and wife duo with a successful business helping couples and organizations get it together to play a bigger game and elevate their relationships and performance.
We believe in keeping it real, so each week we'll bring you incredible guests, entrepreneurs sharing their authentic experiences, along with episodes featuring just the two of us tackling the tough topics.
So, if you're ready to enhance your connections and sharpen your leadership skills, you're in the right place. Let's get started.
Welcome back to another episode of Let's Not Sugarcoat It. In an era where resourcefulness is celebrated, Anna Damergis stands out as a true embodiment of a modern Renaissance woman. With her impressive portfolio as a celebrity realtor, stager, lifestyle and jewelry designer, producer, actress, and serial entrepreneur, Anna has not only made a mark, but has also redefined what it means to be successful across multiple industries. So we want to welcome Anna to our studio. We are so grateful to have you. We're so grateful to be here now in LA as our second podcast of season 3 LA series. And we are super grateful for Connect TV and Kent for introducing us to some really amazing people in this town.
Absolutely.
So welcome.
Thank you so much for having me. I feel incredibly blessed to be with the two of you, and thank you, Connect TV, for making this happen. And every time I say Connect TV, I always say, Connect, he got something there. Kent got something there, right? So this is just a growing family, and welcome to, the Connect family. And I'm super excited to be here. We have had some wine, so I cannot be responsible at this point for what comes out of my mouth. So cheers
to that. Yeah.
Cheers to let's not sugarcoat it. That's what I say. And let's just be real and truthful and authentic, because that's what we are as individuals should be, I think.
Yeah. And it's all a part of what makes up the human experience,
right?
And the human connection is that authenticity, that transparency, that just, not stripping down your armor and just being who you are.
Yeah,
I think so.
In the sea of social media, there's so much fakeness out there. We are craving, as a society species, that connection that we're losing so quickly.
I agree,
right?
for sure.
We're so connected, but so disconnected from what is actually going on within ourselves and in the world.
Yeah, I think we tend to mistake that instant response, right? Whether it's through text messaging or any other messaging app or social media, that we feel like that's supposed to be connection, but it's not.
Right. Instant gratification, right?
That's right. That's the difference.
Yes.
Yes.
So I think if we recognize the fact that that's not really what it is that we need as human beings, then we can separate ourselves from that and really look for the connections that matter, right, with family and friends. And I think that if we actually relax in the fact that we can be ourselves, life is so much easier and more pleasant, right?
Yeah.
And we are. When we step into our own power and are our true authentic selves, we attract those that are meant to be in our life, not just for a season, but for a lifetime.
Absolutely, because relationships should be lifetime goals, those authentic relationships, right? That's what I strive for, to make the connections, to develop the relationships that matter, to nurture these relationships, to give to those relationships, because that's what's going to feed us throughout our lifetimes, emotionally, mentally, physically, and in many different ways that we need to make that happen for ourselves. I think it's super important to keep our minds in a positive light and mindset to give to those who matter in our lives.
Yeah. I think that feeling of like, what does an authentic relationship feel like is, I think it's related to when you meet someone and you're getting to know them, it's like, you feel like you can just be you.
Right.
Right? You don't feel like you have to pretend
impress
or show up a certain way. You're not fearful of looking bad or judgment.
Yeah.
When you're able to be like
messy.
Yeah.
You know, when you're able to be messy with someone
Right.
and they still show up for you and they're still there at the end of that messiness, you know, where you
Right.
pick yourself up and you're like, oh my gosh, what was that?
Right.
And there's no judgment. It's like, okay, we all go through our messy parts in life.
Absolutely.
And having that support and having that somebody in your back pocket saying, you know what, I'm going to be there when you're on the floor. I'm going to be there when you're on that podium.
That's
I'm
right.
going to be it through it all, because that's what creates those genuine and authentic relationships.
Yeah.
I think that if we delete the expectation of anyone else and just have it for ourselves to show up that way, then that also helps the relationship solidify itself. So you don't expect anything from someone else, just expect it from yourself. And I think that that's really what matters when you are meeting someone,
Yeah.
right? To go
Yeah.
in there and just be honest.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And sometimes that takes practice because we're so afraid to be honest.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, you know, tell us a bit about that part of, you know, your journey, you know, with your successes, what you've accomplished. What are some things you've learned about that authenticity,
Right.
both with yourself as well as with, you know, relationships? Because relationships are the foundation to accomplishment. So being a
Absolutely.
very accomplished woman,
Thank you.
right, you naturally would have experienced how that authenticity propels, right, that connection. But I think a lot of the ways, in order for us to be able to measure that success, we also experience how inauthenticity gets in the way, right, of success and prevents us from being successful. So tell us a bit about that.
Sure. So I'm originally from New York. So maybe that's part of my problem out here in LA. Because I do not sugarcoat anything. I am pretty much my authentic self most of the time because I do not know how to be any other way because I couldn't face myself any other way. I don't like to play games. I like to be as honest as possible because I think when you show up honest, that's the only way to proceed forward in life because you can't backpedal from there. There's nowhere to go. So if you're not honest, then you have to do the backpedaling, right?
Yeah.
So I think when you show up honest, which I believe a lot of New Yorkers do because we're bred that way, I think that helps us in life move forward pretty quickly. So I just really try every day to have an honest conversation with myself so that I can have it with others moving forward because you have to let people know who you are to help them understand you. And I think that that really here goes the alcohol, solidifies things in life, right? So I think that's super important. And I just try to practice every day to be mindful of who I am as a human being and who other people are in my life and relationship to that.
Yeah. What I love is you said that you start the day with an honest conversation with yourself. Because we were talking earlier and say, you don't know where you are or where you're going to go unless you acknowledge where you are today. You know, all your shadow parts, all your light parts, everything that makes you you today. You know, so a lot of people just brush things under the rug. They don't want to face it. We, you know, what's the word I'm looking for? Dream, like we...
like put on a facade.
Put on a facade where we only want to highlight our good parts.
Right.
But we don't want to face our ugly parts.
Right.
Because once we face all of ourselves, we're able to work and move through those things and then show up our true authentic selves. Because our experiences is what shapes us.
Sure.
So we can't ignore them. We can't sweep them under the rug. We have to face them in order to realize where the work lies. Where do we need to look in the mirror and work on ourselves so then we can show up in the best way we can for ourselves and others.
Right.
Yeah, I love that perspective because when you talk about being honest with others, how can you possibly be honest with others if you're not honest with yourself?
Absolutely.
If you don't really truly, and to be honest with yourself, you need to know all the bits about yourself, the good and the bad. And when all we're doing is putting on a show and pretending how great we are, you're not being honest with yourself, because there's no human on the planet that is perfect.
Right. We're all perfectly imperfect, I say, right?
Absolutely.
So I think if you don't expect perfection, then we're not going to be disappointed the same way. So I think if you eliminate the expectations of other people, then relationships will, I think, thrive more effectively and more lovingly if you remove the expectation and understand that we are all human. We all make mistakes. We're all perfectly imperfect, and we have to understand one another better. There goes the alcohol again. Understand one another better, and just work through those issues. I always believe that in friendships there can be differences and disagreements, but if you truly care about one another, you'll work through whatever that is with understanding, love, and forgiveness.
Yes.
Because that's what matters. We have to understand, love, forgive each other if you really, really, really care about the relationship.
Yeah, that's the difference between, are you committed to the relationship or are you committed to being right?
Right.
Because anytime there's some form of disagreement, we say disagreement does not mean disrespect.
That's true.
And so it's about how you work through it. You know, conflict is going to happen.
Yes.
And so how do you work through that in such a way that's healthy?
Right.
So that when you come out the other side of it, it feels great, it feels good.
Yeah.
It feels like you've accomplished something.
Right.
That's what's so important.
Right.
Because otherwise, if you're just going into a debate or whatever you want to call it with a commitment to win, then really, especially in a relationship, you're causing the other person to lose.
Right.
So if you win every time, then that means your business partner, your spouse, your friend, they're constantly losing.
Yeah.
And that's not a great relationship to be in.
No, it's not. And I think as individuals, we are many things to many different people. So it's always great to come back to yourself and reset and prioritize yourself so that you can be effective and healthy and loving in those relationships that expect you to show up, right, as your best self. Because we want to be our best selves. And look, we're here in Hollywood, right, where everything is a facade, right? So what's the big Hollywood sign but the nails and the wood behind it that are empty, right? We're not empty as human beings. God made us. We're all, built from the same cloth. We're all in God's image, so we have to love, honor, and respect each other. And I think if you come back to that, that makes it easier for us to move forward and flourish and evolve through life in a more positive way that helps us become who it is that we're meant to become, right? So I think that, unfortunately, in LA, we learn a lot of great lessons. I know I've experienced some really, really difficult lessons here in LA that I never learned in New York, which is surprising to me. But I've grown from it, and I've taken a lot away from it that I now have knowledge of, and I hope never to repeat those same mistakes, and I look at things very differently to protect my heart.
Yeah.
I mean, the important thing about any type of mistake is you got to make the learning bigger than the mistake.
Right.
Yeah.
Right? That's the big takeaway. Right? What are some of those learnings? Before you're going to dive into
Let's not
sugarcoat the mistake.
Yeah, let's not sugarcoat. Listen, in LA, there's a lot of salesmen out here. And I've learned a lot of really difficult lessons with people that I've been very close to who have portrayed themselves in a certain way that I never experienced before back home. And I've opened up myself to them where I've been fully taken advantage of in financially, emotionally, mentally, that have affected me in a negative way, which was very painful to me, and I've grown from that. But it's very surprising to me. People that you never would have expected things from, especially in Hollywood. You see certain people out there, and they act as though they're wonderful people, and you find out when you have personal relationships with them that they're not so wonderful anymore. And it's surprising to me what goes on behind the scenes of their Hollywood image.
Yeah. So do you think it's like a city base because of, you know, the Hollywood, the movies, like all that stuff that it just amplifies the taking advantage of? And
yeah, I think this city tends to breed a lot of desperateness just because it preys on people's minds and egos and self-worth.
Right.
yeah.
Right, and their credibility.
Yeah.
So I think that that's a very dangerous thing to experience. But when you come from a town like where I came from, New York, you don't tend to base your self-worth on somebody casting you in something to tell you that you are of value.
Right.
So if you have not been raised to know your worth, then you come out here in a very different mindset and energy that is can be very harmful to you.
Yeah, so
Right.
so you're talking about like what I'm hearing is that there's a way that you were some experience you had living in New York that gave you some
Growing up there, right?
some skill set, some mindset that obviously when you came to LA, even though there were some learnings that you went through,
Right.
I mean, obviously, like a lot of people who come to LA, it doesn't swallow up everybody. There are people who become very successful when they move here, right? So, you know, what do you think was some of that mindset that you had as, you know, being from New York and coming out here that has helped you continue to be successful out in LA, even though you've gone through some struggles here?
Right. So my dad was from the Bronx and my mother was from Westchester County.
So you just beat everybody up?
No, I didn't beat everybody up. I've watched people beat other people up, right? So it's like, Anna, do you have a problem out there? We can
I know
send
someone with someone, yeah.
No. I don't want to handle it that way. Only kidding. Sort of.
It's nice to have the option, right?
Right.
Listen, when you go to school with some of the daughters of the biggest mafia crime bosses in New York, you see a lot of things. And I may write movies about them one day, right? But from the daughter's perspective, not necessarily from the father's perspective, right? But that being said, you do grow up with a mental toughness that you're not surprised by certain things, right? Because you know that things occur in life that are real that you may not think are real. And I've seen a lot. So when I came out here, I was prepared for certain things, but yet there were other things that took me by surprise because actors are just what they are, actors. And when you've dated actors, sometimes they're lying to you.
Sometimes they're acting.
Sometimes they're acting. And you can take those words and you think they're meaningful and honest, and they're not, because maybe they're just playing a part. Right? In the relationship. And those are things that I've experienced that were very surprising to me, because I would never have expected that. But now, having been through dating actors, I understand that maybe they're always reading a script. I don't know. And I'm an actor myself, but I haven't grown up in the industry the way maybe they have.
Right.
So you have a son.
Yes.
So how do you feel raising him in this type of environment and this type of, you know, culture?
Yes.
Because you were raised in New York and now he's being raised in LA. Do you see a difference in how he's being shaped and molded?
Yes, I do. So when I came out here at 13 years old, I knew that I was going to live in LA. And of course, I loved the business, the industry. I wanted to act at a very young age. But I also loved the weather and the lifestyle out here. And I knew I had wanted to come out here. And I knew that when I had children, I would raise them out here. But now actually having a son who is in grammar school out here, I see how difficult it is because in the school there's a lot of children who are the children of famous personalities, actors, people of notoriety. So maybe they have certain airs about them and they're not as friendly maybe as children in New York are. So my son has had a tough time at making friends. And there was some bullying going on, which is very, very upsetting to me and painful, because if he's home and he's crying that it's very difficult to make friends, he thinks there's something wrong with him. And I have to help him understand that it has nothing to do with him. It has everything to do with who is rejecting you. Maybe they have their own issues that they're going through, so he has to understand that it's not him and he can't take it personally. But look, I've been walking my son to school for almost 5 years. Rarely have I had somebody say hello to me back. And we see the same people going back and forth every day. And I just wonder, why is it like this out here? Right? Now, I'm not saying everyone is like that, because I've developed some amazing friendships out here, which I'm extremely grateful for. And these people have become my family out here, truly. But raising my son out here, that's a whole nother stuff to deal with. Whole nother bag of chips to deal with. Yeah.
It's like, it's almost like what you're describing is everyone's trying to be somebody.
Yes.
Yet the reality is like you already are somebody.
Right.
Yes. Just the very presence.
Right.
Physical
of
presence
your
of
existence,
being on this.
right?
Your very existence means you're a somebody.
But
there's more of a sense of you're trying to chase becoming somebody.
Right.
And that, I think, is the biggest challenge as, I was going to say, a parent with your kids, because with our daughters, they've been bullied too.
Right.
And I always just try to tell them that same thing. It's nothing to do with you.
Yes.
That person doing the bullying, they don't feel whole, right? They don't feel like they're loved or enough, or some version of that. And to make themselves feel better is to bully.
But if they hurt you, we know somebody.
I got a guy, right? So the other thing is social media, right? So if you don't have a social media presence, even as children who are aware of it, that becomes an issue, because my son will look me up. I mean, my son Googles me. I'm horrified. I'm like, wait, give me that. Like,
what are they saying today?
What are they saying, right? And he'll say, "Oh, Mommy, I wish you had 1 million followers." Why? You know, what is the importance of that, really? So I don't know how society has put this importance on social media for these little kids to worry about how many followers. I just want my son to be happy, healthy, and a kind person, get the best education he can possibly get, and put all that other stuff to the side. I just want him to really, really enjoy being a child while he can, right?
And I feel like, a lot of successful leaders are in the background. They're not the ones that are million followers and so on and so forth. Those who really have that influence, influence from behind the scenes. They're not necessarily out there. And I think there's a lot of shift going on right now. It's not so much because with AI and all that stuff, with the bots, how many of these followers are actually true followers, and how many people are you truly moving, touching, and inspiring?
Right.
Because the micro influencers, the people that are behind the scenes, are moving and shaking more than some of the big wigs. I don't know. I'm trying to watch my words. My Ponglish is gonna start coming out, and I might say some gibberish here and there. And now you have to watch what you say, how you say it, who you're gonna offend.
Be politically correct.
But what's it like here? I feel like do you find that communicating and being authentic?
My son is calling. I thought I shut it off. He knows that his we could shut it off. I'm sorry.
You can just go and say hello.
I swore I shut it off.
Talking about you right now.
Thank God it wasn't one of the celebrities calling that I was talking about, because they heard me.
We know you're talking about.
But
Yeah.
I think that's a huge, great
You want me
point.
to say something?
What?
You want me to just text you shooting a show?
Yeah. Thanks. Yeah, it's look, we have to protect our children to a certain degree, but we have to find the fine line within what does that mean, right? Because we don't want to isolate them from the real world, right? But at what point should we expose them to certain things?
Yeah.
So I think that's a learning curve for us as parents in itself with the new technology.
Yeah.
So how do you try to balance that?
It's very hard. I'm not perfect at it, right?
Yeah.
There's a lot of mistakes because he's my one and only. So he's my training ground and I don't have any more after that. So I'm just trying to be the best mother that I could be in the moment every day that I wake up, to know that he's loved, to know that he's wanted, to know that he's valued, and that the outside world is just the outside world. It doesn't dictate who he is as a human being, and anybody's opinion doesn't matter.
Yeah.
So I think if I do positive affirmations with him every morning in the mirror, that's one tool I'm teaching him, right? And even at his age, it's uncomfortable for him to look in the mirror and say, I love you, Andrew.
Yeah.
But I'm teaching him that gratitude matters, because it's the highest vibration with love, right? Gratitude and love, to teach him self-worth, that outside of himself, anybody's opinion doesn't matter, because it starts with him, right?
Yes.
And he's loved, and he's cared for, and he's taken care of, and he's wanted by the people that brought him into the world. And I think that's the most valuable piece of advice or message I can give him, that every day he's wanted, no matter how hard it is for him.
Yeah.
Because he hates math. So he thinks, the end of the world is coming because every day he has math.
Yeah.
right.
And I just try to tell him, try your best.
Yeah.
I'm not judging you, just try your best. That's all I want for you.
Yeah.
Because that's all that
You can do.
I can ask for, right? And I want him to have fun and be joyful and happy and healthy, and that mind, body, and soul has to connect to align so that he can become his greater self.
I love that. Like with the gratitude, when we started practicing gratitude and truly feeling what it feels like to be grateful. Because you can say the words and you can go through the
Right.
motions, but when that first moment when you truly feel grateful for not the things that you bought and whatnot, but sit there and be like, you know what, I am grateful to be alive.
Absolutely.
Not everyone gets to the stage in my life. I'm grateful for where we moved, the community, all that kind of stuff. And when you start sitting in that validation is not coming, and worth is not coming from the external. You start feeling grateful for you internally, and then you're not looking out there to feel that validation.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I have learned over the past years that if I understand my value, then I can give so much more
Yes.
to other people and add value to those lives that I'm touching, right? That I can understand my worth and give to you or whoever it is that I come in contact with.
Yeah.
Because when I meet you, I want to add value to your life, because that's important to me, because I feel that you matter. You have me on your show. I want to have you on my show. It's reciprocal. And I think that energy, to identify that energy, is so important for us as human beings.
Yeah, it's when you move from that socialized mindset, that reactive mindset, because the evolution is, we all get teenagers, when we're kids, we're very egocentric. We have to think about ourselves prior to, that's how we stay alive.
Right.
And then obviously our parents too, right? But there's a point where it's like that's necessary. And then you start to realize, in order to be accepted, I need to be liked.
Yes.
I need to be all of that stuff. And so then all of a sudden we start pivoting and reacting and responding to our environment and people in order to be liked. Most people get stuck there.
Right.
And it's when you're able to make that transition from the outer game running your inner game to now your inner game running your outer game. You get creative. The world now is moving to you, shaping to you, versus you constantly shaping to the world.
And reacting
Absolutely.
to the world.
That's when those big moments start to happen. And I think that's when you start to feel more whole, because you become the source of love.
Yeah.
You become the source of, authenticity. You become the source of wantedness.
Creative.
Right?
Yeah.
Where up until that point, you're constently searching for that
Right.
validation
Yeah.
from others.
Right.
And when you're doing that, then you can't be your authentic self.
That's exhausting.
Isn't it?
It's exhausting. We were talking earlier, and I believe in the law of assumption, right? So Neville Goddard, right? So everyone is a reflection of us. And I really feel that if we work on who we are as human beings, we don't have to seek outside, right? Because we're so content with ourselves inside, and then we attract likeness. So I think that is something they should teach in the schools that they don't, right? And we should teach our kids this. And I'm trying so desperately to teach my son this, and I'm in competition with the iPads and the computers. And I'm just trying to get those little antidotes in on the walk to school, on the drive to school, when I can get him for, even if it's a minute, he's listening. I know he's listening because he repeats, right? Because they're sponges. But I think as human beings, we have to always revert back to self to understand why it is that we are in this moment. Why is this happening? We have to ask ourselves that, because we've contributed to it in some way, whether it's a thought, whether it's a feeling, we've contributed. So if we take back the responsibility, then we don't place blame. We don't have the expectation, right? And we can be so much happier, so much quicker and more often.
Because when we realize that we are the creator of our life, we are in control. What we speak into the world,
empowering.
What we speak into existence shall manifest.
Right.
So if you're operating on lower frequencies, vibrations, because you're constantly focusing on the things you don't have, or that competition over, that's what you will constantly attract.
Yes, I believe that.
And then you will blame, it's this person, that person, whatever, this circumstance, but it's not happening to you. It's happening for you because you are manifesting this.
Absolutely.
Like you said, it's a mirror. Whatever you project out there is what you're going to get back, whether it's through speaking or through even thinking.
Yes.
Because you may say things, but if you don't truly believe it, your vibrations are still lower and in that energy of lack.
Yes, I think so. Just think about how much space you will free up if you forgive the people that you're angry at.
Oh my goodness. Yes.
Yeah.
Let it go. Like Elsa says, let it go.
Yes, I think so. And you know what? The minute you do let go and you forgive, you let go of the weight that holds you down. It's that buoy that you just cut loose, because then you can truly move forward and you don't have to look back, because whatever it is that happened is in the past. You do not have to carry it forward. It doesn't identify you. It doesn't make you who you are. But if you keep bringing it to the forefront, then you're going to keep reliving the pain and suffering. And look, as human beings, we all do that. So it does take practice. And God knows I have to practice that every day, right? But I'm so grateful for moving out here so many years ago. I did go through a very painful divorce. And I do have to co-parent with my ex-husband, with my son. And it's not easy. We argue a lot over our communication skills, because I don't have any, apparently. And I try at the end of every conversation, even if I'm so angry, I sometimes call back and say, hey, I didn't mean that. Can you understand that I'm just really upset about whatever it is that we spoke about? And I just don't want to hang up mad. So is this okay? So I have grown to that, because I want to do that for my son, because I don't want my son to hear me be angry. I want him to learn forgiveness. And I don't want him to see us arguing. Because he hears everything, even if he's in another room, right?
Yeah, for sure.
And I think what's important to know is that they're always looking at us interacting, right? So my son, I know I only have one, but he watches us from the minute like we walk into the room together. He's like looking up, Daddy's in the house. Daddy's in the house, I'm like, Daddy is in the house. Okay.
Yeah.
He's not staying long, but Daddy is in the house, right? Yeah. But I have to understand that I have to be an adult and be responsible for what he sees and how I react, because I don't want him to absorb that energy that I may feel toward my ex-husband.
I think with relationships, it's hard because there's a lot of hurt.
Yes.
When we actually process the hurt.
Yes.
And on the other side, we say, okay, you know what? It didn't work out with us as a couple, but we have this human being that we're responsible for. Let's get on the same court and let's play to win together for the sake of our son and for the sake of ourselves, because yes, we're no longer together, but when we're winning, when I'm winning, you're winning, and vice versa, right? It's that conversation back to when you were saying, if it's a win-lose, it's gonna constantly be a battle. So what can we do together so that we're both winning and we're moving forward in a healthy, productive way, so our son or daughter or whoever is growing up in an environment where they can see that you can communicate in a way where two parties realize there's hurt.
Yes.
And let's just surrender and let go of that control.
Right.
Because it's not going to move us forward.
Right.
And we're going to be stuck in that cycle, and it's just going to get worse and worse because the resentment is going to grow, and the hurt is going to get bigger. So let's just acknowledge the hurt that happened, and moving forward, get on the court and be a win-win so that you can both win together instead of being like, how can I,
undermine you,
exactly.
call you a name,
Right?
And that's, there's always going to be people out there when you say, if you forgive, things are better.
Right.
And there'll be some people out there that are so bloody hurt
that
they're like, hell no.
Right.
I'm not forgiving him, her. Forgiveness is a vehicle, and if that's not the vehicle for you, I think primarily you get in life what you focus on.
Yes.
And so if your focus is on the past, especially the parts of the past that have caused you suffering, then you're going to continue to bring that suffering out into your present and project it out into the future. And so maybe, hey, don't forgive if that's not your thing, but shift your focus. Right? And if you're in a relationship where things didn't work out, but you have to stay connected because you have a child or whatever, then do that process of, okay, we now need to create a new vision for this relationship as it is. And because that vision casts and anchors something new into the future, and it gives you something like, hey, we are not behaving in a way that is aligned with this new future that we want to create. So maybe we don't like each other like the way we used to, right?
That's true.
However, you can still create a vision that's, okay, what do we want for our son, right, or our daughter? And how do we both need to show up individually and together, to create that future for our child, And I think it's a hard thing for sure to do, But when you can get over yourself, get out of your own way, it's totally possible.
Well, I think that the interesting part about divorce is that you have to understand that you can't communicate post-divorce as you did during the marriage, right? So I think that's a huge learning tool, right? So
because you got the gloves on in marriage, and then afterwards it's like, you know what? Gloves are off.
Gloves are off. Yeah, it's all.
And the knives are in the hand.
An eye for an eye, baby. Listen, I've done some things I'm not proud about. I mean, really. I mean, I've said some awful things under stress. When I was going through my divorce, my father died of a heart attack right in front of me. So that was traumatic in itself. The divorce was traumatic for me. I never got married to get divorced. We were very different people. I just didn't see it in the beginning. I think that we did love each other when we got married, and we grew apart pretty quickly in the marriage because of our backgrounds being so different and our needs being so different. We were just completely different people, I believe. And he's not better than me. I'm not better than him. I just think that we made a mistake by actually getting married.
Well, I think it's because it all comes down to communication. When we are falling in love, it is all infatuation.
Yes.
And you come into
Hormones.
the relationship, on your best behavior.
Adrenaline,
Right? And then you start shifting that and then having those difficult conversations early on to see if you guys are aligned. If we we had to sit down. I had PCOS, polycystic ovarian syndrome. So very early on, I told him I may not be able to have children. So if that's something that you're looking for, I may not be able to give you the children. So you need to sit and
understand that, right?
that and really sit in that question. Are you going to be okay not having children early on?
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Because what a waste would have
At least
been,
you were honest,
right?
Yeah.
It is, and
Yeah, but I think you're right. Like in those early stages, like we need to learn how to talk.
yes,
But we do not need to learn how to hear. We just start hearing from the time that we're born.
Right.
And so there is a skill that needs to be developed because we take for granted the fact that we just listen. We need to learn how to listen better and the filters that we're listening through. And so in an early part of a relationship, like you're saying, when it's like a halo effect. All you do is you see all the great parts.
Sure.
All the parts that are not great, those imperfect parts are still there, but it's not what you're focused on. And then as a relationship goes on, then all of a sudden as certain
develops,
experience,
yeah.
all of a sudden you have a tendency, because our subconscious is very much primed to focus on threats and things that we don't like, because that's how it keeps us safe.
Right.
And so over time, that then becomes the shift in our focus, and we start to collect more evidence as to why this person isn't a fit for us or what we don't like about them. And when, even if it's only 10 or 20%,
Right.
of what goes on, if your 100% of your focus is on 20% of the imperfect parts of a person, then that becomes your whole experience.
Yeah.
And so we need to teach ourselves and our children and others that we can focus our listening onto the gold, onto the beautiful parts of life, of people. And I think if more people did that, more relationships would flourish, because our communication becomes a lot more healthy. And even when we are in conflict, we're committed to the gold that's going to come out on the other side of that, versus falling into that, I'm not going to lose to this person, so I want to win.
Right, exactly. But I think another thing that I've learned through therapy is that you have to learn to ask the right questions, right, up front. And a lot of marriages fail, which I've learned, because your core values don't match up. And you have to understand what those core values are to have success on your side, right? To have the ratio on your side, to fall in your favor, right?
Yeah.
Because most marriages do end up in divorce. But I think it's because we don't ask the questions that matter up front, either because we don't have the education, we don't have the skill set, we're afraid to. And in the beginning, everything is roses, right? Because you have the attraction, you have the adrenaline, you have the excitement of the new relationship, and everything's great and wonderful when it's new. But as time goes on and you figure out who somebody else is, maybe it doesn't align with who you are as an individual, and you can't move forward and evolve together to what each other's purpose is.
Yeah.
So how do you go about, because I agree,
Yeah.
asking the right questions. I think when I hear that, automatically you go to asking the right questions of the other person. But I think before you can ask the right questions of the other person, you got to ask the right questions of yourself.
Yes.
Absolutely.
So before you can say, hey, what are your core values? Like, well, what are my core values?
Yes.
And that's not something that is taught.
No.
No.
And usually it comes about when you experience some type of breakdown.
Yes.
And it pushes you into counseling or therapy, and you start using these mental models. So how did you figure out what your core values were? Was it during your marriage? Was it after, like during the breakdown? What drove you to really start to explore your own core values?
Yeah, it wasn't until after the divorce did I really identify what my core values were and what my needs were because I wasn't forced to before, right? I got married relatively young. I was 33. I met my husband at 30. I had been engaged to my high school sweetheart. I was with him from 15 to 30, and then we broke up when my mother had passed away. And my mother was sick most of my 20s, so I really didn't understand who I was because I couldn't explore that in my 20s when most people are going out there and they're working on their careers and they're graduating college. I wasn't able to do that because my mother was sick for so many years and I was with my high school boyfriend. And then when we broke up after my mom had passed away, I had met what is now my ex-husband. So I kind of went from one relationship to another, never really understanding
who you were.
The core of who I was, right? Or allowing myself to learn about myself because everything was always being dictated from the outside about where my life was going. And I wasn't really able to identify what it is that made me happy and who I was until after my divorce. Unfortunately, right? Yeah. I never planned on getting divorced. I came from a divorced background. I never wanted that for myself, but nor was I going to stay in a situation that was unhappy because I knew that we were so different and that wasn't fair to me and that was not fair to him either, right? So you have to look at it. Nobody wants divorce, especially if there's a child involved, right? Because I say to myself, oh my God, how is this going to affect my son? But nor do I want my son to see anything that's dysfunctional or unhealthy. And he also has to understand that he should never stay in that situation just because there is a marriage or because there are children. I don't want that to be an excuse for his being in an unhappy relationship in the future. So you have to lead by example. And it was not easy for me to leave. I mean, that was a very difficult thing. It was painful and upsetting and traumatic on so many different levels. And it's hard to overcome when you're in a long-term marriage. It's not an easy thing. I was married for 14 years, together 17 years. And I was afraid to speak up in my marriage, not because of him, but because of who I was. I just didn't want to disrupt the apple cart. I didn't know how to get out of a marriage. I mean, your first and only marriage, my mother was gone. My father actually came with me to the attorney, and then he passed away a month later. So I was going through all that trauma in the middle of filing for divorce. I didn't even know how to say I wanted a divorce in an effective way.
Right.
Yeah. I love what you said about not wanting your son to stay in a relationship, because we were told, oh, you should stay because of your children, but you're a child too. Would your mom want you to be in that relationship if you're not happy?
Never.
Right?
I would have gotten out or never married him to begin with. I'm sorry, but that's the truth.
So that's when you actually put it on yourself. It's like, well, I am also a child. This is also my life. This is also how we only get one life. You know, some people, we come back, we relive the lives of, if you haven't learned the lessons that we haven't learned, we just keep redoing them over and over until we finally learn that lesson. So it's just having that awareness. It's, finding out who you are first before entering a relationship. When leaving a relationship, make sure you heal yourself first and go through all of that healing from the past traumas, the relationships, so you don't bring that into your future.
Absolutely. And even from the divorce, right? I was in another relationship that didn't work out well, and then I dated pretty consistently, and I've learned to be okay with myself. I'm really happy on my own. So whoever is going to be my next person, hopefully he's out there, he will have to be someone really special, because I'm not going to take my focus away from my own life and my son's life unless we can share equal value to each other's lives, right? And he'll have to be on the same level vibrationally where my heart is. Because if our hearts don't align, I want no part.
And it's funny because statistics say that women are happier when they're single, post-divorce. Men are happier when they're married. And I always question, it's like, why? Why? Is it because we take care of the men? We nurture, and they're supposed to be the providers. But now with how society is going, we're also needing to be providers. We're still out there hustling. And now we have, man-child that doesn't know how to take care of himself. Not talking about you, babe. But in relationships, right? So I'm thinking that's why there's so many women that are leaving, because we're at some, 40 and up, there is a awakening.
Yes.
It's not a midlife crisis, it's a midlife awakening, because we've been conditioned to be giving all the time and nurturing all the time. And then finally, once everything's kind of settling, you wake up and you're like, holy man, half my life is gone. What am I doing for me? Who am I? Why am I so lost? Right? Why am I constantly the one giving where I need to receive? I need to fill my bucket. And then when the man doesn't get on that train of growth and development as well, there's that you go for a younger woman because they're not there yet, maturity wise and growth wise. I feel women mature faster, but they also grow faster in midlife.
Yes, that's true. So
we'll come back and I'll have a statement to stand up for the men.
Well, even when I was deciding to file for divorce, I remember there was a moment where I was looking at my now ex-husband and I just said, I am not going to stay this unhappy the rest of my life. I will get sick and die like my mother died. I will get cancer because I'm suppressing who I am in this marriage, not because necessarily of him, because of myself and what my needs and wants are. And we just don't align with our personalities and our values, right? So I had to make a bold decision and file, which was extremely scary for me. I was terrified, to be honest. I didn't know how life was going to move forward because I just know what the past years were. And it takes a lot of courage to file for divorce. It really, really does. And I know that he was just as unhappy as I was. So it's always who's going to pull the trigger first, right? Yeah. Maybe if my communication skills were better, we could have done it together. But that's not usually the norm.
No, because going back to just our brains often don't work for us. They work against us in a lot of ways. Because even when we're in an unhealthy relationship or you have bad habits that are not good for you, they're predictable. You know tomorrow you're going to wake up. You're going to still be with that same person. You're not going to be happy. And so even though intellectually you're like, oh, if I was not in this relationship anymore, things would be better.
The grass is greener.
But that decision is filled with uncertainty because you haven't lived that life. You don't have past experience with leaving that partner of X amount of time and having that divorce and getting in a relationship with someone that you haven't been in a relationship with. And so the brain processes that as a threat. And it will convince you to stay. So it does take a lot of courage to be able to take that leap and move. It's not as
terrifying.
It's not as simple as just being, oh, I'm unhappy, and so I decided to make the happy decision. It's I'm unhappy, and it's still terrifying to try and make that decision to be happy because, again, our subconscious is working against us most of the time.
Yes, it's opening up a can of worms, really, and you're afraid to open that can because now you have legal issues, right? Because marriage is a contract. Now it becomes a legality. Now you have other people involved in your marriage called attorneys, and they're very expensive. So now they're eating away at your money and your time, and you are being judged and you're being looked at under a fine microscope, and it's not a pleasant situation. If you can negotiate the terms and do it, in a way that's okay between the two of you, then that's great. But most often it doesn't happen that way. And hindsight is 20/20. You know, I look back and I made a lot of mistakes. I should have done a lot of things to make the process a lot easier. I take full responsibility for that, as I'm sure he would say the same thing. But during a divorce process, you become bitter, angry, resentful, you become retaliative, all of these things. And those things I'm not proud of in any way, shape, or form. I have to say, you know, I made a lot of mistakes. But again, I was traumatized because my father died. I didn't have my mother. I was afraid, fear-based. I just had a small baby. I had postpartum. There was a lot of stuff, you know, that contributed to that behavior. And I would say that I would look at things very differently moving forward. God forbid I was ever in that situation again. And I will say, I will now never date a man who's going through a divorce. They have to be divorced because the process is so incredibly painful sometimes and stressful. I remember that I had started to date a guy and I actually had thought he was legally divorced, and he told me he was legally separated on the date. He hadn't gone through the divorce process, and I remember my heart just going into my stomach because I really liked him, and I just thought, oh boy, I'm never going to see this guy when the process starts. And that's exactly what happened.
Yeah, the healing has to happen.
Yes.
You have to end something, work through it, heal through it, and then you can get into a relationship while you're healing, but not while you're dealing with it, I feel.
Right. It's
because
never going to be healthy, that's for sure, the new relationship.
It's trauma bonding.
Yes.
Right?
Exactly.
And then somebody's going to get hurt because rarely those relationships work out.
Right.
When they
or
are
last,
based,
right?
Yes, when they are
based in trauma.
Yes.
And it's also just not about, I think, a relationship ending, divorce, and then just getting into a relationship without doing the healing and the work, because you're just going to bring those same issues, as you were saying before, back into the relationship.
Right.
And so this is my stand up for the guys piece. Because,
bring it.
I mean, it's not just women. Men are also conditioned to be a certain way from childhood. You know, guys can't express any type of vulnerability, especially emotional vulnerability, without being labeled, right? Oh, you're
soft.
Yeah, you're soft.
That's
you're
a nice way.
Girl, right? Those
I'm being
things,
nice.
it's always not a nice thing.
Yeah.
And so then you learn, okay, to be a man is to not be emotional, which then typically creates a disassociation with your emotions. And then men become avoidant. They don't want to have those, you know, high.
I've noticed that with men. They're very avoidant, you know, emotionally,
oh my gosh,
right?
yes.
They're too terrified to become emotional with you.
Right.
Yeah.
Because that your identity of being a man means to not get emotional. And then we're also conditioned to be protectors and providers.
Right.
And so you go through life.
Not most of the men today.
Yes.
There's some questionable
There's
ones out
questionable,
there.
right? Yes, 100%.
Fair.
Yes.
I think when you've got men and women who have this construct, this mental construct of how they need to be a man, to be a woman, to be a father, to be a mother, to be a husband, to be a wife, and you're not exploring what does it mean for me to actually be who I want to be, then at some point in your life you become really unhappy because you haven't been living your full authentic self. You've been living into someone else's version of what it means to be you, right?
There's the expectation, right?
Yes.
Again, yes.
Yeah.
Right?
So that's why if you remove the expectation of the other person, then you're never disappointed,
Yeah.
which I love.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, how gratifying is that? That you no longer have to seek the expectation to be happy.
Yeah.
Right? You just remove that from your life, which is really great. And I think that gives the other person so much permission to be themselves.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we definitely went through a trying time in our life, and we found out so much. It would have been easier for us to just go, but we chose to stay and do the work, which, again, putting up that mirror in front of your face and going, okay, what parts am I responsible for, and what parts am I just gifting back to you because they're not mine to keep?
Right.
Right? but standing in that truth, right? Owning your own stuff and letting go of all the stuff that does not belong to you. And he did the same.
Yeah.
And now we're able to come together much stronger, with a lot more compassion and understanding for each other, and just listening to what our needs are.
That's
what
beautiful. I
his
love that.
needs are, you know, in a completely different way. When you both do the work and you come on the other side, it is so beautiful. We've been together for 20 years,
Amazing.
17 years, married in October. Is it October? No.
It's
What
not
day is
October,
it? Am I
so-
outside? No,
Still August.
Amazing.
yeah. So, yeah, and you know, we did some growth and development early on. We were quite young. He was 21, I was 25
Wow.
when we met.
Wow.
So there was a lot of
Yeah.
you know, learning and
Sure.
being together. We've gone through a lot of trauma, even
Yeah.
with pregnancy, with the houses, with
Yeah.
the moves. It all builds up,
Yeah.
and then you know, you fall into that
Maintenance
life, yes, maintenance mode.
Yeah.
and then
It becomes just a schedule, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
There's no dating, there's no communicating, there's no dreaming. Once you stop dreaming as a couple, or just dreaming for yourself, and then having a partner, okay, this is our dream together, but I have my dreams, he has his. Okay, how do we support each
Right.
other and move forward?
Right.
Instead of, well, you can't do that, she can't do that, we're doing this together. It doesn't always have to be.
Right.
Or we put ourselves, because again, going back to conditioning, we're conditioned to think that to prioritize yourself is to be selfish.
Yes.
Yes.
So then you put everyone else first.
Right.
And then you become resentful
Yeah.
because you're like, well, you know, why are you upset with me for, you know, this, that, or the other thing, right? You're calling me selfish, but I'm constantly cooking or looking after
Right.
the kids, or I'm constantly away making a living, right? All these things because we're not prioritizing ourselves. We're not putting ourselves first. And that is so important. And it's
Sure
not
is.
selfish because in order
Yeah.
for you to show up as you were talking about being the best version of you, right? You need to prioritize yourself so you can show up as the best version
Yeah.
for
Right.
everyone in your life, including yourself.
Right. I think it's so important that you both want to be there,
Yeah.
right? Like, I want to date somebody who wants to date me. I don't want to be with somebody who doesn't want to date me. I don't want to be with somebody who doesn't know that I'm a yes.
Yeah. And somebody that doesn't, I think it's clear, wants to, doesn't feel like they have to.
Right.
Because
Yes.
they need that
Right.
validation.
They choose you.
Right.
They don't need you.
Right.
That's where, you know,
They're fine on their own.
I'm fine on my own.
I'm perfect on my
And
own.
they're fine. Yes. And it's in that choosing.
Yes.
We manifest whatever because we make those choices. I choose to be in this relationship. I choose to travel for work. I choose. It is in that where you have your power.
Right.
Because once you let go of that power, your life is no longer yours.
Right.
You're living someone else's construct. Like
That's
whatever
right.
they're telling you is what you're gonna do.
Right.
So I always say the power is in the choosing. Choose what you want for yourself,
Right.
and then it will come.
Yes.
Yeah.
Listen, I think that we all have to understand ourselves so we can understand someone else,
That's
right?
right.
So we're talking about self-love, we're talking about self-understanding, self-worth. It kind of all comes together. And I think that when we truly value and understand who we are, then we can give so much to that other person, and our relationship will be so beautiful, right?
Yeah.
And there'll be a beautiful bond that's created from day one that can just flourish
Yeah.
into a long-term situation, whether it be a friendship or a love relationship or a working relationship. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
And I've really take a lot of pride in my personal and business relationships that I've developed out here. I have so many amazing people that are involved in the industry, outside of the industry. I have true friendships that I value so much, and I always want to show up as my best self because I'd be embarrassed not to,
Yeah.
And
truthfully.
best self doesn't mean always looking
No.
good.
Yeah.
Sometimes your best self is just allowing the messiness to happen.
It's the intention.
That's right. Yeah.
So I think that's the thing. You have to set the intention to be honest, right? And to be forthright. And I think that's so special in someone when they can be really forthright and honest in every moment that you share with them.
Yeah.
That's wonderful.
Well, this was an amazing conversation. Thank you so much.
It was. I just want to say a couple of things, if you don't mind.
Yeah.
So being out here, I've developed an amazing relationship with many people in the industry, and I do have a podcast, and it's called The Maurice and Anna Show, and it's on Connect TV, and I hope you guys come on as a guest. And I have developed this relationship with Paula Bernard and Maurice Bernard, and the show is with actor Maurice Bernard. He's been on General Hospital for over 32 years now. He's won 3 Emmys. He focuses on mental health. He has another podcast called State of Mind. And I'm so grateful for this relationship in my life. And it's funny how I feel like I've manifested it, because I have watched Maurice my whole life on General Hospital, and now here I am sitting doing a podcast with the biggest soap star in history, and him and his wife are just incredibly special people. And without her, there would be no show with me and him, because she understands my brother-sister relationship, and he always wanted a sister, and I showed up in life.
There you go.
And now we have the Maurice and Anna Show, and it's really a beautiful friendship. And we actually talk about, can men and women be friends, just friends? And we are.
Yeah.
And I'm friends with his wife, and we collaborate on things, and we have a lot of plans in the works to do other collaborative efforts, and we're going to grow different entrepreneurial, and I can't talk now, ventures together, because I get emotional about them, because they're such amazing people like yourselves. And I think that when you vibrate on that level, you just keep attracting those people. And I have other producing partners that I'm creating content with. And I have a movie on Amazon called Maternal Sin, and I'm writing and producing another Christmas movie with some stars attached, and I have a true crime movie that I'm producing that's going to be sitting in front of someone that I've admired for a long time from my hometown, and I'm hoping that she acts in it, and I can't say it yet because it's not solidified, but I'm working on all of these creative projects together, and just so excited. I'm super excited to see tomorrow and what tomorrow brings, and meet new people, and continue to connect on Connect TV, because we're growing this family. And Kent Speakman is doing an amazing job, and his vision is just growing by the second, and he's one of the good eggs in this industry, I have to say. But thank you for having me. I appreciate the two of you so much.
Yeah, thank you
and
so
I
much.
can't wait to see you again, and forgive all the faux pas and the,
the
stumbling.
It is let's not sugarcoat it.
Yeah, let's not sugarcoat
Let's
it.
not
It's
sugarcoat it.
authenticity. That's what we're all about. So.
And
Listen.
then where can people find you on social media?
Sure. So at Anna Damergis across all platforms. I am trying my best to put more positive content out there. I'm a little shy myself, believe it or not, because I was trained as a theatrical actress. I studied theater in Manhattan, so I'm used to reading a script. I'm not used to social media, so to speak, as my own personality. So it is something that I've had to become more comfortable with. And, we'll see how it goes. And I just love being part of this tremendous podcast community, and looking forward to doing wonderful things out here.
Yes, thank you so much. And thank you for bringing your energy. And you're such a lovely person. And thanks, Kent, for connecting us on Connect TV.
On Connect TV.
On Connect TV. Shout out. But it is, Kent is a connector, and the people that he works with,
yes,
we all trust everyone who comes into the circle. We say, if Kent said, you're good people. I heard you're good people.
There was no need to vet you.
I appreciate you didn't do the background check, you know. I do it with dating sometimes. I have one of those programs that like does all the vetting for me, like make sure there's no
criminal background.
I didn't want to say it. I didn't want to say it. I didn't want to say that. Yeah. I do want to say though, I've been involved with animal rescue lately. So if you can adopt a pet, foster a pet, or donate to any of these shelters or rescues that are out there, please do it. There's an overcrowding of animals that need love and forever homes, and they're just amazing little creatures. They're God's creatures, and lately I've been involved with helping place a few of them and adopting a few of them. So don't go to breeders necessarily. There's so many shelter animals that need homes. Yeah.
Well, when we're ready for a puppy next year.
Save a life.
Save
go
a
to
life.
a shelter.
That's right.
Yes, for sure.
Yeah. So, okay, well, thank you. Until next time.
Yeah, don't sugarcoat it, people. I mean, just be honest.
Yeah.
It's more fun that way.
It is totally more fun. Yeah.
Be like a New Yorker.
Hey, forget about it.
Forget about it.
I got a guy, if you can't be honest, who will help you be honest.
That's right. Okay, well, cheers to that.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Till next time.
Till next time.
We hope you enjoyed today's episode and gained valuable insights to elevate your life and business.
If you found value in our conversation, spread the love. Share this episode with family and friends, and let's grow this supportive community together.
And don't forget to like and follow us so we can reach more amazing people just like you.
Until next time, remember, let's not sugarcoat it. Keep it real, raw, and unfiltered.